The original opened in 2015.
The rest are all named after Mexican telenovelas.
It had all these accolades.
Yeah, I see why it's the most popular thing.
Best new restaurant.
I just want to dive into those lentils.
Best new chef.
Someone had come in recently and actually cried.
Pandemic stole that restaurant from Los Angeles.
All I was tasting was just salt, salt, salt.
A lot of people will be squeamish about grasshoppers in your food.
This alone should make you want to go.
Welcome to Aftertaste LA, a podcast that brings you candid restaurant reviews every other week. I'm Vlad.
And I'm Nicole.
This week, we're going to be talking about our meal at Broken Spanish Comedor. So Broken Spanish, the original, opened in 2015 in downtown LA. It had all these accolades: best new restaurant, best new chef. Pandemic stole that restaurant from Los Angeles, and there's been this void ever since. And Chef Ray Garcia, a born and raised Angeleno, triumphantly resurrected it in Culver City in the old A-frame space, the old IHOP space. It's a quirky little building that looks like an A-frame house. And it is now Broken Spanish Comedor, which is this inspiration from small little shops and stalls in Mexico that sell food. So Broken Spanish original was a little bit more high-end fine dining, higher price point. Now Broken Spanish has this new kind of philosophy and identity, and the prices are lower, but they have a lot of mezcal drinks and tequila drinks and some nostalgic old menu items from the original to bring back its old fans and hopefully inspire new ones.
Yeah, I was so excited when they opened up last October. I had not been able to make it to the original Broken Spanish, so when they opened Comedor, I was so excited and I'm so happy. I was finally able to go and try some of the things that I know were quite famous and lauded, and I'm so excited to talk about it.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. First thing, let's talk about some of these drinks that we had.
Yeah, so the drinks menu is nice. It's concise, but it has a little bit of everything. There's 10 cocktails, and then there's a few wines, a few beers, a few non-alcoholics, hitting on all the bases a little bit at least. And the fun thing is that apart from the three kind of traditional drinks, Margarita, Paloma, Carajillo, the rest are all named after Mexican telenovelas. And incidentally, I would recommend ordering from that portion of the menu. Sneak preview for what we're about to talk about. We do think that the drinks that we had from that part were the standouts in the drinks.
Yeah, the first thing that I had was called the Rebelde. Not sure what telenovela that's inspired by.
It's called that.
That's the name of the telenovela.
That's the name of the telenovela.
Okay, awesome. I have never seen it, but this was a really fantastic drink. It had some tequila blanca and some hibiscus, cinnamon, and bitters. It was delicious. It was really, really pretty. It was really red. It had a nice flower on top of it. And it was just a really, really well-balanced drink. It was perfectly sour and sweet and bitter and aromatic. I loved it.
Yeah, this was the antithesis in presentation to the Carajillo. This was a drink that we saw going out to other tables, and it made us go, oh my gosh, what is that drink?
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to say that about the Carajillo.
No. And this drink, I asked our server kind of what are the most popular drinks. This is the first thing that she said. So I said, okay, I'm going to try that. Great recommendation.
So my next drink was the Destilando Amor, which had mezcal, passion fruit, lemon, honey, and poblano. So this drink was great. I loved it. You heard it had poblano in it. And I was like, it really came through. Like the flavor was very nice and vibrant. So I asked our server, what is that element? And they actually make bitters in-house from poblano, which I think is so cool. And I do think that sometimes when bitters are made from an interesting ingredient like that at the bar, sometimes they don't come through as much. So this was great. It combined with the mezcal so nicely. I was looking at the ingredients and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a penicillin with the lemon and the honey, and then obviously the spirit, and like the poblano kind of brings in this acidity type thing that could kind of be akin to ginger in a way. I just think it's a really, really cool drink. It was balanced really nicely, tart, sweet, spirit-y, delicious.
It was definitely a really tasty drink. I think passion fruit and mezcal are a match made in heaven. I love the poblano story. I think, you have the nerd out bartender, bar director person making his own ingredients, making the possibilities of the pantry grow. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. It worked really well here.
Yes, and our server recommended this drink as probably being the one to best go with food because I was deciding between two drinks. Spot on. Yeah. Great recommendation.
So the next drink that I had was the Carajillo. And I love a Carajillo because you make them so good. And we have them at home often as a treat. And they're delicious. Except ours are a little bit more boozy. We spike ours with tequila. Normally a Carajillo is just really good espresso and liquor 43, which is this kind of rum-based liquor. It has a lot of vanilla notes. It's a little sweet and has an orange type of aroma to it. So it just pairs really, really well with coffee. This version, they put coffee liqueur in it. And it's Bloom Coffee, which is a local coffee in LA. But it just felt a little bit too sweet and a little bit almost like watery. Like the ice that they used was very, very abundant. And I'm used to just like one big rock for a Carajillo, and I think it works so much better. It was just diluting too much, and it wasn't my favorite version of a Carajillo that I've had.
Yeah. Yeah. Also with the presentation, it was not stylized at all. It kind of felt like it was just had been batched and just gets poured out into a glass full of ice, kind of like a Coca-Cola, which is what it looked like when it came out.
Yeah.
Which is not really what I think of a Carajillo looking like.
No, and what's interesting is all of the other drinks we had were so much more dressed up with their presentation, nice garnishes, really pretty drinks, and this was the only one that was like, oh, it was a little bit of it just felt like an afterthought.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think I would order the Carajillo again. If you like that, if you want an espresso-based drink, go for it. But there are better ones in town for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So my next drink was the Margarita, which is a take on the famous Jose Andres Salt Air Margarita. Salt Air is one of the things that's listed on the menu that comes with this margarita. And unfortunately, the salt air element is where this drink stumbled. The margarita part itself, the lime, the agave, the tequila, was actually delicious. But the salt air that was on top, it was very thick, as in like how deep it was. It was very dense and it was very, very salty. And it was just, a thick layer on top. So when I had my first 10 sips, all I was tasting was just salt, salt, salt. The experience got better as I drank it. I drank some more of the salt, and then there wasn't so much left, and I was able to kind of mix it in. And then it was great. It was a really delicious margarita after that. But having to get through that incredibly salty foam first was just not an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, so the foam, it's supposed to solve the problem of the salt rim, which is like it's too much salt at once, and it's supposed to be a little bit more pleasant and subdued compared to just a mouthful of salt, and it didn't solve that problem the way that it's meant to. I think part of the problem is the way that they're making the salt air, whatever salinity percentage they're using is just a bit off. And then if you've ever had the original at the Bazaar and Jose Andres' amazing creation.
Which we both have many times.
Yeah, it's so much lighter, the foam that they create. There are many ways to make a foam out of salt water. So whatever method they're using as far as molecular gastronomy goes, I think they might need to tweak it. It was just not working for this drink. Really pretty, Really great idea, poor execution.
If I go again and I want a margarita, I would absolutely still get the margarita part. I would just ask for no salt.
I'm sure they'll do it. And the actual margarita part, like you said, was delicious.
Yes.
So it's not a question of do they know how to make good drinks? I think it was just that technique was a bit off. I thought it was a really smart cocktail menu. The variety is there. There's a lot of different flavors and fruit elements and a lot of different ways to combine tequila and mezcal in a fun way that's going to be enjoyable for everyone. So all in all, we did have a few misses in what we ordered, but the way that they've made this beverage program, I think, is pretty smart.
For the wines, which we did not get any wines, but they are mostly Mexican wines, which is super cool. And there's a Mexican wine and an LA beer, so obviously representing. And then they have some really interesting non-alcoholics, like a house-made orange Fanta, which I regret not getting.
Yeah, next time we go, we're definitely going to get that. It sounds so good.
Yeah,
I love
bet
Fanta.
it is. Do you really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't drink sugary drinks at home, but I used to love Fanta when I was a kid.
Interesting. When I was a kid, my thing was Dr. Pepper.
Oh, yeah.
And then I drank too much of it when I was on my own on a school trip, and I haven't really been able to drink it since.
So the food at Broken Spanish, I said before, is a little bit more rustic than the original Broken Spanish, but I still think it's less rustic than what you might think. The menu has a couple of sections. That first section is very like snacks and appetizers, guacamole, ceviches, refried lentils, and then there's this midsection with some larger format kind of vegetable sides and things, and then they have some larger items, entradas, which is kind of like entrees, and then 2 desserts.
Mm-hmm.
So there are, I would say, 3 or 4 items on this menu that were on the original Broken Spanish menu and seemingly unchanged, but for the most part, this is a brand new restaurant and a brand new menu. So the first thing that we had was the duck albondigas, which were on the original Broken Spanish menu. You get 3 duck meatballs with this sauce underneath of chipotle and bacon and nopales. It was delicious. These duck meatballs were really, really tender and unctuous. The sauce was really smoky and sweet and mildly spicy, not too spicy, and you got those really nice bits of bacon in there. My only note about the duck meatballs were they were a little difficult to eat. I thought they were just a little too crumbly, super tender, but I was having trouble getting them onto my fork.
Yeah, I didn't really mind that too much. I thought they were nice and moist, and the sauce was fun. It was kind of barbecue sauce-esque, which was kind of interesting to my palate.
Texturally very barbecue sauce-like.
Well, sour, definitely some sourness in there. And then you have this like deep umami from, I assume there's some sort of tomato something in there.
Yeah, definitely tomato-based, and then the chipotle and adobo.
And it made it a little spicy, like a little bit of a spicy barbecue sauce.
Sure. And then you get the smokiness from the bacon and the chipotles. So yeah, I could see that. I could see that. These were delicious.
Yeah. And I really appreciated it was only 3, especially for being on the snacks part of the menu. And they could be very heavy if they were any bigger or any more than that.
Yeah, for sure. I think really great starter. Get some high protein, no starch there. So definitely on the lighter side for a protein dish, which is good. Because we did not order light, so.
We did not.
So speaking of light.
Yes. So I wanted us to get a vegetable in.
Yes. There are vegetables on this menu.
Yeah,
we didn't
there
order a lot of them, but we did order some.
We ordered a few, which made me happy.
Good.
So these were the Shishito Peppers, and they came with Pepita XO sauce, ponzu, and grasshoppers, which I forget the Mexican name for.
Chapulines.
Thank you. Yeah, so I like these a lot. It's pan-seared Shishitos. We have them a lot. We have them a lot at home and out, and I just love them. I think they're really tasty. I love XO sauce. I thought this Pepita version was super, super smart. It's just really cool to see kind of like the similarities between sauces that you would have in Mexico, like kind of like a salsa macha or something like that. That's so similar to like chili crisp or the XO sauce.
Yeah, there are definitely parallels there, taking inspiration from Asian cuisine, which I think is also very LA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And the grasshoppers, perfect for this dish. I think a lot of people, their instinct would be to put chopped nuts on, but these have such a more delicate crunch to them. I think it goes with the delicateness of the peppers better than nuts would have.
A lot of people will be squeamish about grasshoppers in your food, but they really are delicious if you close your eyes and don't realize what it is. It's just a really nice, crisp texture that is slightly spicy and spiced. Like, they don't taste gross in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that's gross about them is our preconceived perception that this is something that's jumping around on the ground. But any opportunity that we have to order stuff like that or to eat it, we're going to take because it's delicious.
Yeah, and they're always seasoned very well, very nicely, a little spicy, a little salty. You know, it's like eating snack nuts. They're lovely.
Yeah, as far as the shishitos go, I thought they were a really nice starter dish. Anytime we order shishitos, we're very rarely upset about it. All right, so we did order one of the things on the mid-course kind of portion of the menu, which was a repollo, which is a roasted conehead cabbage. It came with black beans, salsa Veracruz, and almonds. Yet again, a cabbage dish that absolutely hits on all levels. Cabbage is definitely the 2026 vegetable.
Yeah, especially cone cabbage.
We're seeing it on every menu.
Yeah.
And every time we ordered it, delicious.
Yeah.
This was delicious. The black beans underneath were creamy, kind of refried bean vibe, although that's not how they're advertised. The salsa Veracruz, which is like tomatoes and olives, was really, really nice. And then the crunch from the almonds was really pleasant. The cabbage itself was charred really well and then chopped up and kind of tossed in the salsa. So it was just really, really flavorful and tangy and smoky. Great dish.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a little taken aback by the idea of olives with this dish. I mean, though, that's generally comes in a salsa Veracruz. It was delicious. I don't know why I had any reservations. It was so good.
Yeah, the way that they presented it, too, it wasn't like really big chunks of any of this stuff, except for the cabbage, of course. But the actual salsa itself and the black beans, everything just melded together. The nuts were chopped up finely, but not too finely, so you still get a good texture from them. Everything that was executed with this dish was executed very, very well.
Yeah, it was prepped to make it easy to eat. The cabbage pieces themselves were nicely, not chopped small, but chopped just the right size that you could easily pick them up with your fork or spoon and put it on your plate and then eat it.
Yeah, I would say this is one of my favorite presentations of cabbage that we've had so far. A lot of times you order a cone cabbage, they want to showcase the shape and the look of the cone cabbage because you don't see it too often. This, you don't know. It could have been regular cabbage.
Yeah.
We would have never known. But I think cone cabbage, the texture you get when you cook it is a little bit better than like a Savoy cabbage, which can get a little bit mushy.
Yeah.
Cone cabbage really keeps a nice bite and texture when you cook it. So anytime you see this on a menu, order it. Before we move on, we started Aftertaste LA because we were tired of all the restaurant hype that ended up being influencer clickbait. If you're like us and want honest reviews of LA's dining scene, hit the subscribe button and join us for your next meal.
So on to our large format items, or I guess our large format items and everything that came with that portion of the meal. So first is the mole Almendrado, which is an almond-based mole on 2 braised chicken thighs with hazelnut salsa seca and grapes. So salsa seca that came on top is kind of like a dry salsa matcha, if you can, without the oil, basically, which was really nice. I thought this was actually one of the prettier presentations in the meal, especially looking back at the pictures. You know, you had the 2 chicken thighs and they were kind of arranged in a crescent with the mole across the whole plate and then the hazelnut salsa seca on top, just sprinkled there, and some fresh herbs and some cut grapes, which was very interesting. So my feelings on this dish: the chicken was cooked really nicely, super moist. I did like the sauce, I think maybe a little bit more than you did. But I like the salsa seca a lot. Nice little crunch from that. The grapes were interesting. I actually liked the flavor, but I thought, I don't know, they were kind of big and the texture threw me off every time I had one in a bite.
I really loved the execution of this dish. I thought the choice of using bone-in chicken thighs was really great and traditional and get better flavor that way. The almond that was there was really nice. The grapes, they were a little big, but the next day when we took it for leftovers and we reheated it, I actually ended up liking the grapes a lot, more so than I did at the dinner itself. So I do think they work, and I think that the tartness of them is actually really nice compared to the sweetness of the mole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the biggest fan of mole, so for me, this wasn't my favorite dish, but I think it was executed really, really well. And if you love mole, this is a really great version. The next thing that we had was the signature dish of Broken Spanish. The thing that if you Google Broken Spanish, this is what you're going to see a picture of, is their chicharron. This is a big slab of pork belly that takes them about 5 days to make. They cure it for a few days. They cook it, I think, for 36 or 48 hours, and then they deep fry the whole thing, put it on a plate, put a bunch of garlic mojo broth over it, and these radish sprouts and cilantro sprouts, and it is pork perfection. It's crisp and tender and salty and unctuous and fatty and everything that you want and love about a pork dish, this has. The broth is absolute perfection. It's a little bit tangy from lime, really, really heavy garlic. Like, this is a garlic lover's dish, 100%.
This alone should make you want to go. The fact that everything else is pretty freaking good is just, you know, icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Icing on the chicharron cake.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone that comes here, unless you don't eat pork, you should 100% order this.
Yeah, I loved it also. Sometimes a cut of pork like this can be too fatty for me, but they have built the accompaniments, the mojo, and the pickled cabbage that come with it.
I forgot to mention the pickled cabbage.
Yes, they've built this experience so that it doesn't feel quite so overwhelmingly rich.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it just, that sauce, I could just drink that sauce. Give me a cup of that. I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
High garlic, high acidity. Oh my God.
I will say that if you order this by itself with nothing else, you're going to be maybe a little disappointed because it really needs tortilla. It really needs those refried lentils that are on the menu, which we had with this. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. But to me, the perfect bite at Broken Spanish is you take a slice of this chicharron, you put it on one of their amazing corn tortillas, and a little bit of that refried lentils, and then dip it in the garlic mojo. That is just a perfect bite. I talk a lot about what is a perfect bite. A perfect bite is a bite that makes you close your eyes the minute you take that bite.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those moments. Beyond the fact that this is such a delicious dish, the way it's presented is so impressively awesome. The fact that he has figured out how to make micro herbs actually make sense is so impressive. Micro herbs, like, chefs use this stuff, they throw it on a plate, it's an afterthought, and I never find it actually adds to a dish. This is not the case here. Like the radish sprouts, the cilantro adds bitterness, adds herbaceousness, and the amount of it that it's used, it's not like a small, like 2-3 sprigs. It's like a full salad on top of this pork belly. I think it's so smart. It's so delicious.
So we asked for the refried lentils that appear in the snacks portion to actually be served with our mains. That was suggested by our server, and we were like, absolutely, that sounds great. There are actually 2 versions of the refried lentils on the menu. There's the snack version, which comes with tortillas. They're in-house blue corn tortillas, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then the other version is like a side that does not come with the tortillas. But, of course we wanted with the tortillas. The lentils are black lentils, and they're made with quesillo and epazote, and they come with the corn tortillas as we ordered it. And wow, they were absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I never want to have refried beans again because I only want refried lentils after this. They were very, very rich, but almost sneakily so. Like I could eat a whole bowl of this and not get overwhelmed by the richness because they were just really, really flavorful. And I think that epazote in there helps with that. And our server was telling us that someone had come in recently and actually cried because they reminded them of their moms or their grandmothers' refried lentils. And I get it. It's a delicious, delicious side.
The refried lentils are also from the original Broken Spanish menu. So, with good reason. So delicious. And 100%, you need to be ordering this with any of the meat entrees. I think it's a must. I think you get the tortillas, you get the lentils, and you make your little tacos tableside. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it is. It is. They're essential. Absolutely essential to enjoyment of all the mains.
Yeah, and the tortillas themselves are really, really nice. They do all their in-house nixtamal, which it sounds impressive to put that on the menu, but any really great taco shop in LA is doing their own nixtamal, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But these were really, really good, and the blue corn tortilla was really, really good corn flavor and really tender. And I think a lot of times when there's in-house tortillas, I end up being less impressed than some of the more commercial stuff that you get because it can end up being a little bit dry or crumbly, like the texture's not right.
I find that often I find corn tortillas to be quite sour, which I did not find with these, which I liked.
Yeah, these were really good.
Yeah.
I would say one of the better house-made corn tortillas in LA.
Yeah, they were very moist, very nice to eat texture-wise.
Perfect with that pork, perfect with the lentils. Just to have on the table with anything, I think you're going to a Mexican restaurant. These are must-order items at this restaurant.
And I appreciate that they put on the menu where they're sourcing the corn from and what the actual corn strain is.
Yeah, the varietal.
Yeah, I think that's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that all of these little things matter so much to having an identity of what type of food you want to serve, what type of story you're trying to tell. Also showcasing the fact that we're using what's around us, what's close by.
Yeah, but it all goes back to that thing of being authentically inauthentic.
Yeah, that's Chef Ray's thing.
We're not in Mexico. So anyone who's cooking one of these dishes, whether you are Mexican, Mexican-American, or you're just American, it's going to be different just from what's available, what equipment is available, what your experience is, what you like. That's just how cooking is. And because it's so inauthentic, it makes it authentic, which is backwards, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that it's authentic to Chef Ray and what he grew up eating. He was born in LA. He wasn't born in Mexico. He's Mexican. So his authentic experience growing up is what his mom made, what his grandma made, what his friends and family, what he ate. So you don't need to hold yourself in this tiny mold of what's authentic to Mexico. It's like what is what's authentic to me.
Yeah.
And what I grew up, what my memories are, what my nostalgia is. At least that's how I approach my cooking. Speaking of authenticity, the rice. We ordered the rice. It's just a little side on the menu, and it's toasted basmati and tomato sofrito. This is a very kind of classic Mexican rice, but basmati is not authentic at all. But basmati rice is delicious.
Yeah.
So at first, I kind of was like, oh, that's interesting. Why would he use basmati rice for a Mexican style rice? But it worked. It was great rice.
It was really good rice. I don't think you have to order it, but I think it went really, really nicely with the refried lentils and with our mains. And it kind of just rounds out the table, you know.
If you're with a group, ordered for the table, you have it. Not everyone needs to eat it, but it's delicious, well-made rice. I also thought it was great with the mole.
Yeah.
So I think I would want tortillas with the pork chicharron, but the other entrees, I might get some rice, the lamb neck as well. I will say the price points of this entire menu, really, really approachable with a grain of salt. Really approachable for a fine dining or a high-end restaurant in LA.
Yeah.
Other than that pork dish, nothing was over $40.
Yep. And they do have happy hour,
That's true.
which is really nice.
The drinks, too. Like $14 for a margarita. That is low for LA.
Yeah.
For a high-end margarita with salt air and fancy presentation, right? They could be charging $20 for this.
Yep.
But they're charging $14.
Yep.
The chicken was $27. Right? This is not unattainable for most people comparatively to other modern versions of some sort of food that's supposed to be affordable. So miraculously, we did have a little bit of room left after all of that, and we ordered one of the desserts.
We got the chocolate tart, which I thought would be a little bit lighter than the tres leches bundt cake, which is probably true. The chocolate tart comes with a nixtamalized corn crust, Mexican chocolate cashew custard, and whipped cream. And I was underwhelmed, unfortunately, by this dessert. It's a chocolate tart. You know, it looks like you would imagine a chocolate tart to look. The corn crust, I just was hoping for a little bit more corn flavor from it. I did not really perceive too much corn from it. But that wouldn't have really bothered me except for the filling. The filling I found to have a really odd texture. I'm assuming that has something to do with the cashew of it. I found it like very bouncy, almost like jello-y, which is not something I really enjoy in my chocolate desserts. I think I was looking for a little bit more of a richer, unctuous chocolate experience. And even the chocolate flavor itself, I think, was tempered and mellowed by the cashew flavor.
Everything you said, the filling, texture was off, a little too like gelatinous. The crust was not flaky enough. It was almost just a bit kind of an after. I didn't even really like notice its existence. It just holds this custard. And then the whipped cream, I think I'd rather have ice cream here. Personally, it just, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
It didn't do it for me. And I was full from the meal, and the savory stuff was so good.
Yeah.
That I almost like, I didn't need the dessert. There's only 2 desserts here. The other dessert, tres leches, I would venture to guess is better than this chocolate tart.
Yeah, it looked good on other tables.
Yeah. So I would get that one. I'm sure they're going to be kind of cycling through desserts here. There's only 2, so they have a little bit more flexibility to not have one always be on the menu. I think they're going to kind of continue to R&D. They only opened in October, so I don't think that this is just going to be the mainstay. I would imagine more people aren't finishing their dessert.
Yeah.
We did not finish our dessert.
And it was small.
Yeah. So I would say they're going to see, maybe some people like it, but it just wasn't our favorite dessert.
Yeah.
So that's not why you come here.
Yeah, and that's okay with me. I mean, now that I know that, I think I'd go a little bit more ham in the mains and the appetizers that we order. I love a dessert, but if I am aware that I probably won't get dessert, I'm probably going to order like one extra starter thing, which is exciting in itself.
Yeah, I think order heavy here. Get a ceviche to start, maybe some guacamole, get the pork, get the lamb, get a bunch of tortillas and refried beans and a few vegetable sides. You're going to be so happy with your meal.
And get a couple telenovela cocktails.
Definitely. So, little dining pro tip, if you are craving something sweet and you have some room here, where they're located in Culver City, Mar Vista, a few blocks away is Ginger's. This is a gelato shop, and they have delicious gelato, and you can go there and get a cup of gelato. All right, so we've talked about the food, we've talked about the drinks. Let's talk about the ambiance and the service.
Yeah, so I used to, when I was a PA, I would often make runs to a business across the street from this place, and I would look at this building because it looks like unlike any other building in LA. It is literally this very pointy A-frame building that would be more at home in like the Alps or a little skiing village.
Yeah, it's a real out-of-place building.
And I always wondered what it was like in there, and now I know. And unfortunately, I don't think it's a great restaurant space.
Yeah, when I lived in the area, I knew it as A-Frame, Roy Choi's restaurant, his first restaurant, and I always thought it was such a quirky building. I never ate at A-Frame, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it did all right. It lasted for 9 years. Before that, I think this is like the original IHOP ever. That's what this building looks like. I know it's not true, but it's like what IHOP, what you think of when you think of IHOP.
It feels like old-timey restaurant destination when they were all trying to look like fun and, you know, get customers in the door from roadside appeal.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then with that, the design of this actual restaurant building is not friendly to running a restaurant.
It's very style over substance, unfortunately, or style over function.
I think the design team that has kind of zhuzhed the interior here has done their absolute best with what they had to work with. I like the color choices that they made. I like the light fixtures and the windows. They have these like kind of lacy curtains on the windows and the green and wood tones. It feels cozy.
Yeah.
The seats weren't too cozy.
Yeah. The bench I was on was very hard.
Yeah, these are like the original kind of bench seats from the IHOP. So it was not the most comfortable to sit in. There's a few bar seats as well. I think 5 or 6 bar seats open for walk-ins. It didn't look like the most comfortable bar seat setup either. We sat inside. It was extremely loud in there because of the design of this building.
Yeah,
all
the ceiling
echoes.
Is so high.
Yeah, you couldn't hear anything. You couldn't hear your conversation. But they've added, this is the first time this restaurant has had an outdoor space. Really nice looking patio. It looked really, really great out there. And on a warm summer day, I think it would be awesome to eat out there. And it was packed.
Yeah. Patio is definitely the move if there's any way you can get a table out there.
Yeah, we sat inside, and I think that's going to be our last time sitting inside. And they asked us when we checked in, do you guys want to sit inside or outside? And it was a little breezy.
Yeah, it was a little chilly.
But I also never ate in there, and I've always wanted to eat inside this quirky building.
Yeah, me too.
So now I know, sit outside if you're going to come here. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Especially if you have, 4 to 6 people, you can get a group out there. You're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
I think inside for 2 people is perfect, but anything more than 2 people, if you're with a group, definitely go for sitting outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to talk about the service?
Yeah. So first of all, we went on a Thursday evening around 7 p.m. The place was packed. As soon as we sat down, we noticed that our server got triple sat. 3 tables right away. Boom, boom, boom. So she was already had an uphill battle She handled it really, really well.
Yeah, and honestly, like she was very nice. She thanked us for waiting. I honestly like didn't even feel like we were waiting all that long.
No.
We were a little bit early to our reservation also, so when that happens, I'm like, take your time. Like we
Sure.
were early. Like if I have to wait past the time that my reservation was for, then I might get a little miffed, but like we were 10 minutes early. That's like a lot early, you know. If the reservation before us was 5 or 10 minutes late, we're going to end up being there at the same time. So like that's going to mess things up.
Yeah, it's all luck of the draw, I would say, when it comes to sitting down at a busy dinner time. If you're going to eat at 7 o'clock on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that, it's a real coin flip. You can get lucky or you can get the short end of it. I felt like the entire time we did not wait too long for anything. The drinks, the food, everything came out quick.
The food was so fast.
Yeah, they were lightning speed. And overall, I would say the service here was really, really solid. We were taken care of when we needed to. She took our orders really quickly. She gave really good advice.
Mm-hmm.
She was really pleasant. The food runners were really pleasant. The floor manager or the GM, I'm not sure, were also helping run food and drinks. And it was all hands on deck. The staff was happy.
Yeah, it did seem like kind of a lean staff, but, you know, people were pitching in, so.
Yeah. It's not a large space. There's not a lot of seats inside. The patio, I would say, is as big seat percentage-wise as inside. And it's tight quarters in there, the way that they've, like, done the layout, which I don't really know how you do it any other way. So you could tell that, like, servers are a little bit having a hard time kind of taking orders in between tables. It felt a little cramped.
Yeah, the space is so constraining.
Yeah. But I would say all in all, the service here was great. It is a little bit more of a lax, laid-back neighborhood restaurant type of service environment. There's nothing fine dining about this place, but it doesn't need to be.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We got what we needed, and, like, that's really the bar for this style of restaurant.
That was a really great dinner. I was a really happy time. Not everything was a 100% hit as far as what we ordered, but overall, I left that meal feeling joyful and happy and excited to come back. If you're a first-time customer, first-time guest at a restaurant, their job is to make you feel like that.
Yeah.
To make you feel warm, welcome, and excited to come back. And that's how we left that meal.
Before we give our verdict, a quick breakdown of how our rating system works. We rate restaurants on a scale from 1 to 4 taste buds. 1 taste bud means you can skip it. 2 taste buds mean if you're in the neighborhood. 3 means it's worth a trek. And 4 means you've got to go.
So, Broken Spanish Comedor, we're giving it 3 taste buds. We think it's absolutely worth a trek. It's a fantastic restaurant. That pork dish and those refried lentils are worth the trek just to have those. But all in all, I thought that our experience here was really, really delicious and probably one of the best higher-end Mexican restaurants in Los Angeles.
We're coming from the Valley, and we are absolutely going to be making this trek again. I would love to try the happy hour, sit on the patio, and just have a really, really delicious meal. So that's all for this week. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of us on your feed.
See you in 2 weeks.